Thanks, thanks Martin, thanks Werner for the introduction. Once again, my name is Jan van Vano. I am a senior analyst for a company called IDC. I also lead our digital transformation practice. Basically, last year I started a team around looking at digital transformation from different industry, different market perspectives, and now it allows me to really be on the forefront of understanding and seeing where this innovation is going and where organizations are moving towards. For those who are not familiar with IDC, IDC is the leading provider of market intelligence for the IT industry. I think we're best known for the market shares and forecasts we provide around technologies that are emerging. But our tagline is analyze the future. So that means we also get to look at what the trends are today and how that's going to impact the market of tomorrow. And in that light, I'm going to invite everyone just to have an open mind for my presentation, because it's not really the type of presentation you usually expect from IDC. We're typically very heavy on the data, but just for today, I want to push your imagination. And I want to bring everyone to 2020. So keep an open mind. Let's go to 2020. And imagine yourself being one of two. You're either Mrs. or Mr. Smith, and you're sitting in your car going about your day. Wait, this is not a car anymore. Wait, this is a self-driving autonomous vehicle. This is a smart mobility platform. And as you enter your car, it immediately senses that you might be a little bit hungry. It senses your state of mind. It recommends you to go to a restaurant and go to the Pizza Hut, and you approve, and it pre-orders a custom pizza based on your preferences. And you're taken there to the Pizza Hut. And when you arrive at the Pizza Hut, you're served by this robot. Does anyone know this robot? Hands up if you've seen this robot before. Couple, right. Yeah, so this is Pepper the robot. His name is on his display. Pepper the robot went on sale this year in Japan for about 200,000 yen and was sold out within a minute. It's the first consumer robot that has the ability to sense feelings. And although it was initially designed as a consumer robot for within maybe your house, MasterCard and Pizza Hut were one of the first to order this robot at massive scales, because they were going to be testing this within their retail stores. So if you enter a Pizza Hut in Singapore or Japan now, big chance you'll be ordering your pizza from Pepper the robot, and MasterCard is developing the payment systems on the back of this. So that's great. You had a really nice pizza, a really nice lunch, and then suddenly you get a message from Fred, your cognitive assistant. Fred is not just some application. What it does, it monitors it gives you evidence-based coaching, it monitors your intake, your activities, and it tells you, well, based on your intake today and your activity today, you're going to need to do another 45 minutes of exercise in order to meet your personal goals. I'm running, maybe you're practicing for a marathon, you want to stay in shape, and tells you that you have to do some more exercise today in order to meet that goal. This type of technology is being tested today, pioneered by Under Armour. Under Armour has launched a partnership with HTC, and they now launched something called the Health Box. The Health Box comes with 3 assets, basically a wearable wrist device, heart rate monitor, and a smart scale. And using these 3 assets, it's able to track exactly how you're evolving and measure your weight, measure your fitness, your health, your body mass on an active basis. And on the back of that, they launched a new application called Record, so Under Armour Record. And Under Armour Record is different than most applications because it actually embeds machine learning and cognitive capabilities. And what it then does is it advises you, it coaches you based on the goals you set for yourself, based on the sports you do, based on your fitness level, and how you can best achieve your objectives. And it doesn't benchmark you to top athletes who are competing in the Olympics. It benchmarks you against people like you, who have set similar goals, who have similar intakes, to actually make the gamification realistic. So this is actually on the market today. It's $350 in the US. I'm not sure if it's available in the UK today. And I've recently learned that HTC is actually expanding this because it's been so much of a success. They're expanding this with virtual reality applications. So what they're doing, for instance, is they're tracking your position on the football pitch, and using virtual reality, you can imagine yourself, running the perfect line in order to make that perfect goal, or maybe just to master the ultimate burpee in your exercise. So that's great. You're actually still in your car, and you just had a video conference with your kids. They miss you. And then suddenly Fred, your cognitive assistant, he realizes, well, you actually forgot to pack your trainers. You don't have your running gear with you. Fred tells you this might not be a problem because you've run over 500 kilometers on these shoes already, so they may be worn out. Maybe you're interested in buying some new ones. Who knows? You authorize Fred to buy you some new shoes, and he has them delivered to the boot of your car. Sounds ridiculous right now, and security concerns aside, this is a partnership that's already forming between DHL, Amazon, and Audi. And this is something that they're doing today already. But in order for Fred to order shoes and have them delivered to the back of your car on the same day, that's going to require some radical sacrifices in the supply chain. So let's look at that. This is the Hamburg Port Authority, a key example of a large organization that's going through their own digital transformation. Right now, about 9 million containers flow through this port every year. And they're currently expecting to double this by 2025. How they're doing this? They're using Internet of Things. They're basically connecting every single asset that's coming in and going out and on the port itself in order to find efficiencies. They basically created a digital twin of every process. They model the exact flow of all the assets. And, well, they're expected to double the shipments. But this might not be enough for Under Armour because they want to be able to ship these shoes to your car on the same day. Because they're not just going to be shoes, they're going to be custom shoes. And which emerging technology could link these two together? Any ideas? Shout out if you have an idea. An emerging technology.
Drones.
Excuse me?
Drones.
Drones could be. Well, first off, maybe for Under Armour, it's going to be 3D printing, right? Because they need to be able to package that shoe, develop that shoe that's tailored to you at the port, or maybe even take out some elements out of the supply chain. So they currently already have a 3D printed shoe. It's called the Architect, and they print the midsole of the shoe based on your weight, based on your preferences, based on the sport activities that you do, and then it assembles that together. What if Under Armour could take this 3D printing and bring it to the Port Authority, taking out all the ships, all the offshore ships, all the offshore manufacturing, and manufacture at the port itself, and then from there collaborate with maybe an Amazon to ship it to the boot of a car using a truck or maybe even a drone. So that's going to accelerate this process radically. So back to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith story. You've been running 45 minutes. Fred is happy. You've accomplished your goals. And as you were running, you were sort of musing about the idea of connected health, right? This is an emerging market, and perhaps it's a great investment priority for yourself. So you asked Fred to look up or to contact your bank and to find an interesting investment opportunity. He connects with the Deutsche Bank, Deutsche Bank just released a robo-advisor, and they call it the Anlagefinder for the Max Blue, basically consumer investor solution. And Deutsche Bank tells you, you know what? There's actually a great investment opportunity at AngelList today. There's a new startup called think.The. It combines connected health with mindfulness, and actually that's all what you're about, because you know that it's important to have a balance between technology and spiritualness. So returns look good, growth looks good. You decide to make the investment, and as you make the investment, Deutsche Bank suddenly sees that you're an active consumer, and they've actually wanted to sell this new insurance to you for a longer time. And this hypothetical partnership with Nike will allow Nike maybe to position this one-time offer to you. So in exchange for your personal data, if you transfer your data from Fred and Under Armour to Nike, this one time, you'll get free shoes from Nike, new set of trainers because they know that you've been running 500 kilometers on them. You'll get a 50% discount on your premium. And if you pay for it using CoinFloor, a new cryptocurrency repository, you'll get free tickets for the 100-meter sprint at Tokyo 2020. Not in real life, though, in virtual reality. And imagine what that would look like. And what's interesting, virtual reality is really emerging as a new entertainment technology. There's this year, I think it was at the start of this year, Goldman Sachs published a report on their estimations and how virtual reality and augmented reality are going to dominate the entertainment industry. And we're actually seeing the first success stories on the back of that. So Next VR partners with Fox Sports. You can actually buy tickets, front row tickets, for the next boxing match, or maybe a concert like Coldplay. All right, so let's go back to today. Wait, this is, a lot of this sounds very ridiculous. It's very forward-looking. But as we've already seen, the technologies exist today. And some of these use cases, although they're not interconnected as much as we'd like to imagine, there's definitely this opportunity. So IDC, since 2007, our chief analyst, Frank Jentz, has been talking about the third platform. The third platform indicating the third revolution in technology. The first platform was that of mainframe terminal computing. The second platform, that of PC client and the internet. And now the third platform rests on four new forces. It's social business, cloud, big data analytics, and mobility. And what's different about this platform is that it's a platform for innovation and growth. And we've now seen all these new emerging technologies being quite disruptive for the business models and internal processes itself. So we call these innovation accelerators. And on the top of that, we now, with this updated graph, have stated digital transformation. We used to say a continuous industry acceleration, but digital transformation might be a better word to describe exactly where the pain point is for organizations. And this isn't just some theoretical framework. In 2011, we actually started mapping the technologies linked to the third platform, and we're still seeing that the third platform is outgrowing legacy technologies third platform is growing by approximately 13%. Second platform is actually in decline by 5%. And that means if you're still working with second platform technology, or if you're a technology company selling second platform technology, you're probably in a recession. And that really requires change. And as Werner just said, digital transformation, it is a CEO priority. So I'm not going to talk about the executives here today, but I do want to point out that at the start of this year, at the start of every year, IDC builds a number of predictions. In the US, they predicted that almost 70%, so 67%, by the end of 2018, 67% of CEOs will have digital transformation at the core of their corporate agenda. My team and I, we thought, that is way too conservative. For us, in Europe, it's going to be by the end of 2016, 60% of CEOs. And we actually ran a survey, and it looks like we've still been too conservative, because although the respondents in this survey may have been a little bit biased, we found out that 90% of organizations agree that digital transformation is a corporate priority. And actually within this, if you drill down a little bit, you'll find that approximately 50% of top-level, C-level executives agree that's now a business strategy for them going forward. And if you're a company dealing with digital transformation, you're seeing a lot of disruption around you, like Adidas is, because Nike launched a Fuel Band maybe a little bit too early, took it out of the market. Under Armour, introduced it a couple years later, and hugely successful so far. Nike is now focusing much more on the customized product. And Adidas needs to find a way to compete with this industry, compete with this massive disruption that's happening in the sportswear. What they've done is they've hired Kasper Rorsted. He has a good track record in terms of leadership within chemicals. But what's interesting about Kasper is that he has a technology background. He's not the typical CEO that only focuses on shareholder value. He actually looks at where will technology bring the company going forward. And the first thing he needs to understand is how his consumers are changing. And I think for all of us here today, the first thing we want to know is there Wi-Fi and do I have battery for my mobile devices? Because right now, this is, wherever you go, this is more important than any other of the Maslow attributes. And if you talk to my sister, when she goes to the bathroom, she takes more photos than Neil Armstrong did going to the moon. And if you think about that, this is creating platforms, right? So it's an environment of sharing, and sharing creates value. So McAuliffe did his MIT study. He basically showed that the value of a network is the number of nodes squared. And it's called the network effect. So the value rises as the number of people that use a platform increases. And that's also why Instagram in 2012 sold for $1 billion, not because of the contribution of 13 employees, but because of that of 30 million users. And today, they have over 500 million monthly users, 300 million daily users, 4.2 billion likes every single day. And that just shows what the power is of platforms. So for Kasper Rorsted at Adidas, that's one of the key things he's going to be thinking about. It's the ecosystem. So within your business, when you think about digital transformation, there's often a lot of friction between what's IT and business transformation and what's digital transformation. Coming back to the car, the autonomous vehicle, if you're a BMW, IT and business transformation would mean automating business processes, maybe introducing IT-enabled services, maybe a CPQ module on your website so consumers can customize the colors. What's digital transformation is where IT actually becomes the product, where you're able to differentiate yourself using technologies. And more importantly, beyond that, BMW doesn't want their car to be a dumb vehicle, a dumb car. They want it to be a smart mobility platform. So they're going to be focusing on creating an ecosystem where third parties can maybe provide valet parking services, entertainment services, banking services in the comfort of your smart mobility platform, car. So digital transformation is a lot about the ecosystem. It's about the platform. And some of the work I've been doing with my team is trying to identify what are some of the key hurdles for everyone here today within the IT department. Why is digital transformation so hard? We found out it's not about leadership. It's not about incentivizing. It's not about being able to build the partnerships. It's primarily about people, getting people to change, finding the right skills. It's about legacy systems, and it's about culture. So very briefly, after I'm heading into the last part of my, my presentation, I actually want to address these three and give you some takeaways, something to think about for your own organization. Start with people. So a good exercise, if people is an important barrier for your organization, your IT organization, a good exercise is to think about all the functions and roles you have within your IT department and map them on two axes. What's currently important, high, low, and what's going to be important in the future, high, low. And then you'll soon see that functions and roles that are important for the future, but maybe not so important today, you need to cultivate this group. You need to nurture them, invest them, take care of them, give them autonomous access to resources, so they can sort of evolve themselves to become core to your business in the future. Or roles that are important today and important in the future, that's going to be your core business. So that's where you have to invest. Roles that are important in the future, or important today, but not so much in the future. You have to invest in these, retrain them, try to educate them to acquire new skills, and contribute value to the future organization. And everything that's not core to your business, that's not important today, that's not important for the future, outsource. So this is a great exercise you can take home or take to your company to start understanding how do we map the skills we have internally, and what skills do we need in order to evolve our business and go through that digital transformation. Next, legacy systems. Legacy system, important obstacle for many organizations. And what you're seeing with the rise of digital transformation is a lot of fragmentation. You have the core traditional IT environment. On the other hand, you have the digital platform, which is being developed by the lines of business, and they're going out to market where they're acquiring new technologies without immediate consent, maybe with the IT department. And in many cases, this is creating islands of innovation. And it becomes impossible to scale it because the lessons learned maybe within marketing or maybe within an HR doesn't get shared within the rest of the organization. And from an IT legacy system perspective, this also creates important challenges. But thinking about what the IT organization does today, you need to evolve. The first thing you need to do beyond the legacy system is evolve the services you offer. So I've worked within the CIO office for a long time. This was one of my key focus areas, IT services, making sure that we're able to guarantee business continuity, all the workplaces and workplace solutions were enabled, that they're able to collaborate and communicate. Another service area that the CIO office or the IT organization focuses on is obviously enterprise business services. So ensuring, securing corporate data, finding efficiencies in business processes, and providing maybe the analytics or the data for improved decision making. But beyond this, in order to remove the legacy necessarily as a key obstacle, you need to think about two new service layers. One is about customer-facing business services, helping organizations with their customer acquisition, retention, finding new revenue streams, actually proactively working with the business, and then finally the ecosystem. And that's where you go to look to actually start building and creating API libraries. You start developing new business models. Finally, culture. And culture is actually a difficult one, really point down. In IT organizations, many IT organizations are facing an environment of reactive IT. There's a lot of shadow IT going on. I was speaking with a municipality in Amsterdam, or near Amsterdam recently, or actually yesterday, and they told me that they currently have an IT environment with over 500 applications. They have 3 data centers. And the fact that they now have 500 applications is pure a consequence of lack of control. This is lines of business going to the market and basically acquiring new project management tools, new CRM tools, new IT solutions, because it helps them do their business better, right? Do their activities better. This is a government, so you can question, how proactive they really are, but this is the reality within that organization. And from a cultural perspective, you need to invest in the right people and the right skills, and start looking for a way to really become a proactive IT organization. So actually proactively going to your lines of business after these types of events where you're inspired and you're introduced to new technologies, new solutions, and talk to them about what you can do to evolve their business and move towards digital transformation, creating that platform. And then second, it's infrastructure and operations, I&O. So also within my previous role, we did a lot of siloed deployments. It was very ITIL-based, very siloed. And traditionally you're responsible, you have your SLAs based on IT metrics. And everything is a very thorough process, but it's independent from one another. You're not looking at the broader business developments. Going forward, this ITIL approach might not be the right methodology for all operations. You might need to look at a way to introduce Agile and DevOps within your organization and start optimizing business performance holistically, not within a single business function or unit. And what's interesting about this is that open source dominates this area. So when you're going to be talking about Agile, when you're going to be talking about DevOps, open source is often the preference of choice. And IDC believes that open source is very much in the spirit of innovation and in the spirit of digital transformation. The innovative community and the ability to fail fast and basically plug and play allows organizations to innovate and pilot new use cases at a much greater pace. But it's fine if IDC says it, but what's more interesting is when you see Elon Musk say it. So he says that technology leadership is not defined by patents or proprietary technology. He believes that the open source philosophy will allow him to strengthen rather than diminish Tesla's position in the market. And with that, I'd like to thank you all. I'll be here later for the lunch for questions, but thank you so much for your attention.